Hi, I'm Chris Crumley, Associate Editor at SDM Magazine, and today I'm going to talk about sustainability with a few of my guests. And my guests are.
My name is Steve Stanberry. I'm with Axis Communications. I am the director for our South Central business area. Good morning.
I'm Christy Keating, Vice President of Sustainability for Securitas Technology Global.
My name is Hiroshi Huey Sekiguchi from iPro, Chief Product Ambassador, VP of Strategic Partnership. Thank you for having me today.
Huey, Christy, Steve, thanks for making time. I appreciate it. To kind of kick off the discussion, I'm curious a bit about maybe one way to approach it is, it's 2025. What does sustainability mean in 2025? But just generally, what does that term sort of mean? It can bring all kinds of things to people's mind, and there's some folks who maybe hear it and don't fully understand exactly what it means. So I suppose, what does it mean to you guys?
Well, I guess I could start if that's okay. I think we all have our thoughts and probably very similar thoughts. I don't know. I've been really diving into sustainability the last couple of years, and when you talk about it with people, most people seem to they tend to think about greenhouse emissions or recycling. That's just general what they think about, and that's definitely part of it. But there's obviously so much more of it, right? Let me try to explain it in what really opened my eyes, I guess. When I started looking into this, there's a day that hits every year called Earth Overshoot Day. This is the day that we as humans consumed the natural resources that the Earth can provide per year, right? Last year, that day hit on August 1st, which means we overconsumed by 5 months what the Earth can produce in resources. So for me, that was quite an eye-opener, and it made me dive into this a little bit more. And then as you dive into it further, and you think about the amount of people that are on the Earth today, there's 8.2 billion. There's going to be 9.7 in 2050. It's just not sustainable the way we are going. So we as corporations, we as humans and people have got to take action on this. It's not about us. It's not about. It's really about our children, right? And our children's children, and giving them a chance to live a healthy life moving forward.
Really good response, Stephen. I would just to sum that up, I would say that in a business context, sustainability is really I think about integrating environmentally and socially responsible practices into our business operations, and that's really how we can start to make a difference and chip away at this.
And summing it up again, the third sum up is, I think from an individual, I think great point, everybody. I think so. I just talked about that. Just back from Japan 24 hours ago. Still have that jet lag, but my nationality is Japanese, so I've been Japanese 50 years, and everybody knows Japan's a small country, limited resources, and sustainability. This is something not just happening just yesterday. It's been in our DNA since I was a kid. Making sure that you don't waste things. Using the same thing, don't just throw it away. Try to think of ways of how to reuse things. And I've been from a corporate, Panasonic, joined 1998, and there's been a lot of, should I say, things that from a manufacturing side as well as from distribution, as a user itself, is that how can we really, while doing the economic activities that we do to pursue happiness, it's always that trade-off, is that how can we keep that balance from an individual perspective. So it's the corporates are made by human beings. At the end of the day, we all go home. We go, we have our family, we have our friends. And I think it's so important that there's something that you can do. I mean, everybody on this podcast, there's something we can do even from today. It's never too late. And I think this is a great topic to discuss, both from an individual point of view as well as from a business and corporate point of view.
Wonderful. And I think that's well said, everybody. My next question has to do with, I know that, the environmental aspect of sustainability kind of often gets, mentioned alongside things like ESG, the environmental, social, and governance. And I'm curious how, sustainability kind of plays into that larger picture of the ESG approach.
I guess I could start again if that's okay. Yeah, these definitely all tie into each other, right? Speaking from an Axis perspective, we joined the UN Global Compact back in 2007. There's actually 20,000 corporations that are a part of this compact now. So this isn't just new. It's been around since 2000. For us, our strategies and operations, we align with these principles ever since we've joined. There are 17 sustainability development goals that help guide us business and promote responsible business practice and values. So being aligned with these as a company, we feel it's our duty to positively impact the ecosystem, the world we live in, by doing our part. And then not only that, but educating our employees to maybe take it beyond that step and do their part as just human beings, right? So for instance, for us as a company, we're looking to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 42% in 2030, and we're on plan to do that. We're looking to use 100% fossil-free energy in all of our manufacturing and logistics centers. So for us, that's kind of what we do. And we also identify human rights activities, salient human rights, and areas that we want to focus on. We've got 8 of them we've identified, and a couple of them are like forced labor, child labor, workplace environments where health, safety, and well-being of our employees all go together. So you can see where the environment, the social aspect, and the governance all tie together with all of these different things. And I really encourage the audience to take a look at the UN Global Compact, these 17 SDGs, to get an idea. It's so much more than what you're thinking sustainability is.
Yeah, so I think most people are familiar with the environmental aspect of sustainability, and that's what everyone talks about, right? And then you have the social and governance side. So on the social side, it's really not just with people within our organizations, but also within the greater society. And I think some key points there are ensuring the health and safety of our employees, training, living wages. This is a big conversation these days. And then, of course, community involvement and how do we impact the community that we're living in and working in, and how do we make a positive impact there. And then, of course, on the governance side, it's doing business in a compliant way with laws and regulations, but also being transparent and of course, operating in an ethical manner.
Now, it's always a tough one on the third one, so being the third one, but I'm just looking at, the definition of SDGs, and it's end poverty, inequality, protect the planet, ensure that all people enjoy health, justice, and prosperity. But it is a very big, 17, there's different 70 buckets in the UN SDGs. And being with Panasonic since 1998, it's about 27 years ago. But basically from a manufacturer perspective, we've been always thinking of how to keep, our products really environmentally, we call it green. I think we don't hear that much lately, but back in the days, there was always like green leaves. Yeah. I don't know why, but it's like we have a lot of trees and plants in Japan, but that was kind of an icon back then. But we still, so iPro, I'm sorry, just get a little quick introduction of who we are, is that we've become independent from Panasonic in 2019. And you mentioned about global impact, UNGC. We are also a global compact partner. After we've been departed as iPro, we've re-registered ourselves, so we are with the initiative as well. But we've been keeping the same DNA of how to keep our users using our products. Since we're basically a hardware manufacturer, so when you have that hardware, it's always in a box, right? We need to ship that product from our factories to our customers. And what we do is that, especially we're not, Panasonic has big refrigerators, big TV sets, those big ones, as well as we do sell cameras, which are very small boxes. And if we deploy thousands or millions of these cameras, there's always a time that you have to open the box. There's a lot of components inside to keep your cameras or the product to be safe. in terms of different environments of transportation. And I think plastic is also was a very big topic, and we've been trying to eliminate using plastic, even all those boxes. And just talking about our company, I'm sorry, but we have a plan to eliminate all plastic, including EPE, polyethylene, to become all boxes, paper boxes, so that it's much more environmentally friendly, not just the straws that we use for our coffees, but yes, I think it is a very important responsibility to from a manufacturing side as well as to keep in mind when the products are delivered to our customers, the customers has their own sustainable goals as well. And it's also consumed in different countries outside of Japan. And how can, from a manufacturer point of view, how can we help the society, the governments, the people that are using our products or even delivering those products of having it easier with less carbon dioxide emission, with lighter components or smaller boxes. All those things are part of keeping this, this planet much safer or a comfortable place to live in. So, yes, I think these are things that we are going to maybe pursue, and hopefully that too. Also very important that to mention about educating the customers, influencing our customers as well as employees. Again, corporates are based by people, and for all people, individuals, it's important to also educate internally and externally.
Mm-hmm. It's great to hear about what you folks are doing as manufacturers, right? Because Securitas Technology is a electronic security integrator, and we too have a commitment of reducing our greenhouse emissions by 42% by 2030. And actually, I've been having lots of conversations with the access folks as well. And a huge percentage of our greenhouse gas emissions are from the products that we sell that end up in our client environments. So obviously, we can't do it alone. We could do a lot alone in terms of our reducing our scope 1 and 2 emissions, but we really need to partner with our manufacturer partners and as well as our clients to really be able to make a big difference.
Yeah, one thing I love about this topic is Huey and I, we're competitors, right? If you look at us just holistically that way, but this is a topic we can agree upon, right? No matter if we're competitors or not, we can work together on this topic as two companies that believe in this particular this issue and how we can impact it in a positive way. And not only iPro and Axis, but everybody in this industry and beyond. So I love it.
Wonderful. Well said, everybody, and I appreciate you guys making time. My next couple questions kind of have to do with that other link in the chain, the integrator, the dealer, and sort of outside of, sort of the altruistic motivations behind it. Are there any kind of like maybe a term almost like tactile, like benefits that firsthand the integrator and dealer could maybe experience by being more involved with sustainability or by partnering with manufacturers that are a bit more sustainable?
I'm happy to jump in here. I think that there's so many examples. So I think we tend to think that there's a cost associated with sustainability and of course, depending on the objectives or targets that a company has, there absolutely could be. But there are tons of things that we can do within our businesses that are either cost neutral or actually yield a cost savings that can make a big difference. So just by creating energy efficiencies within our facilities, we spend less money on electricity and cooling costs. This could be as simple as motion sensor lighting or automating thermostats, right, to lower the heating and cooling after hours. And just by providing training to our fleet team, our technicians, we could reduce fuel consumption. By increasing remote services, we could reduce fuel consumption. So the list really, really goes on and on. But I think we've touched upon this a little bit here. A lot of our clients have really lofty sustainability targets themselves. and they are relying on partners like us to help achieve those targets. And many of them are putting requirements into their contracts, right? So it's becoming also the cost of doing business in some cases, or the right to play. But ultimately, I would lean towards the fact that this really helps build those client relationships and makes them more sticky. Wanting to work with companies that share their core values.
Okay, maybe I'll jump in here. So I have a little different. That was a great point, by the way. And I was always thinking about it is definitely kind of whenever we talk about sustainability, I totally agree that people come to me, but that's very costly, right? And I think Christy, you're spot on. And what I was like for the past when we talk about, I'm really a big believer in sustainability. I really love weather, and I like looking at climate changes. And really, my heart breaks with it, and we can feel it right now, right? So. Um, I tell our partners that it's not just cost, but think out of the box or just eliminate that box. Is that there is a business? Well, of course, we're all here for a business, and there are new revenue streams in a way for helping customers to reduce their costs, by the way, as well as reducing the emissions and all the things at the end. But the key word I just thought was, as you mentioned, I think is efficiency. I think efficiency is really also very tagged into this initiative. In other words, if we can enlighten our efficiency, you mentioned about sensors, automation, number one, definitely is the way to decrease, costs as well as to enlighten efficiency. Eventually, maybe lower power because you have sensors to turn it off or off, even air conditioners, with temperature readings, thermals. Definitely that's a very important approach. And second, I think there's many ways that we can help our customers by gathering data. And I think, Axis, iPro, we're in the kind of way of sensor using video and other radars, but there are other sensors, ways of gathering data that we haven't really been able to do in the past. But through different kinds of methodology, we are really able to gather data, analyze data, and also to predict what may happen, right? So that is another way of enlightening efficiency. Of course, automation is one way, but second is, I think, looking into the data that we see, is there any way that we can provide solutions to our customers to give a consultation that maybe this is a way that we're wasting things, wasting maybe human resources, it may be electrical power, maybe something else, but eventually if we can help to enlighten efficiency by gathering data, analyzing data from our solutions with our partners, integrators, definitely I think that is it looks like a cost, but actually in the long run it would help decrease cost savings. So, and also it is a new business opportunity that is arising lately. So I take it that that is a new, should I say, mind shift in a way of from the keyword efficiency to really while we cut costs, but also enlightening the responsibility of sustainability.
Really good point.
Yeah, really good points, both of you, Christy and Huey. So, I mean, how is it going to benefit the integrators, right? Maybe the smaller ones as well, or medium-sized. But it really comes back to, I think, what Huey said earlier, right? It's about our families, and if for no other reason you do the right thing, and we'll talk about that maybe hopefully later, and we can give some examples of specifically what people can do to help. It's help our families first and foremost, but maybe from a more practical application, I'll give you a couple instances of how things, and Huey kind of alluded to this. Axis makes an ArtPEC chip. We're on ArtPEC 8 now. With that chip, we're able to reduce power consumption by 40%. That, he said it equates to dollars at a 24-port network switch. That saves $250 on average to the end customer, right? So that's a savings to them. That's why it's important. But more importantly, power consumption is a lot less. On our new ArtPEC 9 chip, it's another 20% savings. So to give you an idea, with that kind of power, our new multi-center or with our PTRZ only requires a 15-watt port versus a 30-watt port. So you're talking about a lot of cost savings and power savings that definitely add up. The other thing is the longevity of products, right? Axis and iPro, we've been known for making quality products over years, right? The longer a product lasts, the less resources you have to use to go build other ones, right? And the less money that a company has to go and invest in deploying other products. So just from helping the environment and saving the customer money, if I were an integrator and in a customer, that's a message I would like to hear. And frankly, I don't know that it's a message that we talk about enough to our end customers from the integrator standpoint. And maybe even from a manufacturing standpoint, we could do better as well.
Hmm.
I think that's a great point, power consumption. And you know what, Steve? There's another thing that is really we're quite alike in terms of not just power, but also consumption. I'm sorry, very techy, but bitrate. You know, we're in the video industry, and bitrate is also a waste, and not always a waste, but a bitrate that you really don't need that bitrate in certain circumstances. That's where Axis and iPro really shines, and look at a lot of statistics, is that how can bitrate help in terms of sustainability? It relates to the power consumption. What Steve, you mentioned is hard disks. I'm sorry, with all the respect of the hard disk manufacturer, of course, we definitely need hard disks, but hard disk, you have servers, right? Servers and hard disk is always another big consuming power thing. And having that ability of decreasing the usage of video bitrate or data bitrate helps you to really, decrease the consumption of your hard disk usage as well as servers. So I think that does also relate to what just Steve mentioned, is that since we're camera manufacturers, I think there's power as well as bitrate is the two things that the integrators can also look into, that these two manufacturers are really looking into how to decrease the consumption of power as well as bitrate relating to less hard disk space and server usage. So.
I am really excited to hear this from you folks. I mean, last year we rolled out a really big initiative at Securitas Technology where we started in North America to show our clients the CO2 emissions by SKU on our sales proposals, and that's for awareness and helping them make informed decisions. So this means that there's a lot of work ahead for us, because we're going to have to constantly, as you all evolve in your manufacturing and design and innovation, we're going to have to keep updating those data points in our ERP so that we could give our clients the most updated information, and hopefully overall we'll see a decline in those CO2 emissions by SKU.
Wonderful. And as Steve kind of almost teed me up for just a moment ago, I kind of wanted to wrap up by asking you guys if you had any, and also Christy had kind of laid out a few, I believe, a moment ago as well, but sort of first steps or smaller things that the dealer integrator could kind of begin their journey into sustainability with, whether that be kind of tips on what to look for in products, or just tips on what they can do themselves. What are those sort of first steps for the dealer integrator?
I'd say that gosh, if you look around your organization, you're going to find people that are passionate about sustainability, and harness that passion to start to build momentum if you don't know where to start, and it's okay to start small. I would say the second thing would be assess, where there's room for improvement in your business. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can be as simple as cutting down on paper usage, or implementing a recycling program. And I really think it all begins with creating a culture of sustainability, and after all, it really is a shared responsibility.
Agreed, definitely, Christy. This is a question that, since I've been diving into this subject, I get quite a bit, actually, from my family as well as my employees. We actually have had training classes internally on this. We had an external session on this at our last ACCC conference last year. So how can we impact things, right? The thing about America is we consume more natural resources than any other country in the world. So when I hear people say, well, China's not doing it, or Russia's not doing it, or India's not doing it, their part, well, that's a cop out. Sorry, it is, in my opinion. We are the biggest consumers on the earth. So we can impact things as Americans and do something in a positive way. I'm actually challenging my team as well as my family to try to make a 10% impact on the way they do things, and getting away from what Axis does, where I think Axis is doing their part. I'm hearing iPro and Securitas is doing their part. Traveling in hotel, Huey, you travel a lot. I mean, do we need to leave the lights on? Do we need to leave the TV on, right? Do we need housekeeping every day? Simple things like that people don't think about. Can you recycle better? Can you conserve water better instead of buying plastic bottles? Can you filter your water? Can you go into communities and plant trees and help with green initiatives, things like that? So at the end of the day is, what are you doing, right, to do this? And from an Axis perspective, we actually close down one day a year. We have a community service reach out program that we go into the community and try to positively impact them. And that may be via homeless shelters, low income schools, dog shelters. It doesn't really matter. How can we help people that just don't have that? They need some help. They need some extra hands. So for us, we want to make sure, everybody knows our saying, innovating for a smarter, safer world. We want to make sure that we're responsible role models. We're ambassadors of this particular subject, and we're making a positive change in society. I think the most important thing that all of us can do, and this is a good start on this video cast, is to educate others and advocate for them to be a part of the solution and don't stand on the sidelines anymore. I'm challenging everybody out there. 10%. What can you do to impact us positively?
If everyone did 10%, it would really move the needle. That would be amazing.
Just 1 degree on your thermostat would change things, right? Maybe do ride sharing 1 time out of every 10 times you drive your car. It's that simple.
I love your suggestions on, at the hotel room, because how often do you walk out without in Europe, it's a little more challenging to walk out without turning the lights on, but here in the US, there's no,
exactly.
You have every light on in the room for the whole day that you're not in your room. So it makes a big difference at home too.
All great points. And I'm trying to think what else, but before going to something else, I really, what we can do individually, Steve, I really like your points. And just one thing that I really felt, I live in Houston right now, been 4 years. And one of the things that I find that I don't see in Japan, which I really like, is, I'm not sure if I can say the company's name, but Goodwill. Like clothing, I have 2 kids, 2 children, and there are clothing that are still very clean and nice. I don't think in Japan we have this kind of place that we can reuse and go and provide it. And that is one of the best things that me and my wife really loves to go to bring things, because I don't know, we Japanese, we kind of really take care of things, try to use it for a long time, but kids grow up very quick and it's still like very new. So I think those are really, you never know that is a part of sustainability, but it is definitely, reusing things is reusing or using the same thing longer. You may laugh at me, but I still have my iPhone 7. It works perfectly, but I need to, well, my company phone is iPhone 14, but it's still usable. But I think that's something, there's always something that we can do from an individual standpoint that relates to what an integrator can do as well, because we all have workers and employees and have families and friends. So that's definitely what I really like to emphasize, is that there's always something there that you can do, something that impacts sustainability. And one more thing I wanted to add is, aside from the proactiveness, so proactiveness is more that what I can do. There may be a little reactive piece as well. I'm not sure, maybe Steve and Christy, maybe you can maybe piggyback on this, but I see kind of RFPs or corporates. So the customers so integrators have clients, right? Integrators have end users, customers, and those customers are sometimes mid-size or large corporates, and they have their own sustainable goal sets. It may be good to look into what their goals are. Of course, there may be a slight difference in terms of businesses, and maybe to be aligned, talking to their same language, and show how your company is also committed in doing, the same similar initiatives, may also give a little positive impact to your business for your future opportunities. So it sounds a little reactive, but I think that's a great thing that I think, Christy, you mentioned about small start is it a little bit reactive, but maybe looking into your partners, what is your customers are doing, looking into it, and then maybe convert that to what can I do or what can my company do to be part of that initiative. It sounds a little reactive, but I just wanted to add this piece on top of the things that we can do proactively. So
it's a great point, Huey. I receive questionnaires and to fill out constantly from our clients, as I'm sure you do from your integrator partners, on our focus on sustainability. And what I'm really proud of is that those are usually pretty easy for me to fill out with lots of yeses, and then send along our annual report, our annual and sustainability report. But it is a great place to start to see what your clients are expecting of you, and then and then for further intel, what your competition is doing.
Yeah, agreed.
And I'll just add one more thing. I think that businesses with strong sustainability practices often report higher employee satisfaction and engagement. I think that there's something there about the core values, right? About speaking to people's core values and having them align with the business that you spend 10, 12 hours a day, for some of us, working at. It's really nice to be aligned, from a principled perspective, and it does, tend to help retention as well.
Yeah, well said.
Huey, Steve, Christy, thanks so much for making time today.
Welcome.
Our pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. I was a little nervous, but
yeah, good to meet you, Huey and Christy.
Nice meeting you, Steve, Christy.
You as well.
Christopher. Thank you so much.